This will be another free flow video because I realized that I would rather cultivate a connection with my flowing energy and practice trusting that instead of a script. So here it goes. And I also want to mention before starting that this video will be part of a series video because the topic that I want to touch upon today has many layers to it, and I don't want to put all of that into one video. Also, this topic is very important. As many people I have worked with, I have noticed that this topic that I'm about to present to you is one of the main reasons why people come to me, why they come to an astrologer, maybe even why they, in certain cases, seek for psychological counseling. And also, I've noticed that this thing is one of the actual reasons behind all sorts of problems that people tend to project outwards. Like they come to an astrological session thinking that the problem is out there somewhere, but eventually I guide them to realize that it's not that way. So today's topic is about the Kshudhita Avastha. I'll remind you, if you don't remember or if you're new to this channel, that Kshudhita Avastha translates as a state of starvation. Or also, how I like to say, it's a state of a planet which indicates that it's having a hard time to experience fulfillment. And the Kshudhita Avastha that I want to talk about today is between Mercury and Jupiter. Or to be more specific, it's when Mercury is causing this Kshudhita Avastha onto Jupiter. Or you could say when Mercury is starving Jupiter, or when Mercury is blocking the way towards Jupiter's fulfillment. Before going into the details of this Kshudhita Avastha, again, I'll remind you how this Kshudhita Avastha can be formed. So there are three ways how this can happen. One way is when Mercury and Jupiter are in the same sign. And it doesn't matter how many degrees they are apart from each other, as long as they are in the same zodiac sign or Rashi, this Kshudhita Avastha is existing in the birth chart. Now, the second way is when Mercury is aspecting Jupiter. For instance, Mercury is aspecting Jupiter 19 degrees or 180. And then the third way is when Jupiter is in the sign which is ruled by Mercury. And that is either Virgo or Gemini. So when Jupiter is either in Virgo or in Gemini, then this Kshudhita Avastha is also existing in the birth chart. Okay, so these are the three ways how Mercury can starve Jupiter. And if you're not really sure whether you have this condition in your birth chart or not, you can comment down below your Mercury placement, your Jupiter placement, and then I will help you discover whether you have this Kshudhita Avastha in your birth chart or not. Okay, so let's now dive into the outcome of this Kshudhita Avastha, or what it can reflect psychologically and emotionally. So let's begin with what Jupiter represents. So Jupiter is that faculty within us that energetic cosmic faculty within us, which helps us to see the bigger picture of life, the bigger picture of a given situation. You can imagine Jupiter as a button that you press and it zooms out. And through zooming out, it allows you to see the whole picture. When we are able to see the whole picture of a situation or even of our life, then we are also more capable of having a greater understanding, as well as experience pockets of wisdom. It's like you zoom out and then you look at one event of your life and you can see how it is connected to another event of your life. And then you see how that is connected to another, and that is also linked to another event. And it starts to make sense. You start to see purpose and meaning in whatever was happening in your life. And also then have more peace, calmness, contentment, acceptance, and with that, fulfillment. Now, how does Mercury prevent us to tap into this Jupiterian quality? Mercury represents our intellect, and the function of the intellect is to grab a situation and do the opposite than what Jupiter is doing. Its function is to zoom in, pick it apart, take every single piece that was picked apart and analyze it, analyze it, analyze it, analyze it. In certain cases, in certain circumstances, we need this function of the intellect. Well, it exists for a reason. There are certain situations where we need to zoom in, pick things apart, analyze. However, when Mercury is starving Jupiter, most likely this indicates that the person who has this Kshudhita Avastha in their birth chart is almost constantly functioning from that mercurial place of zooming in, picking things apart, and analyzing, thinking, rethinking. And what happens is that the person loses the whole picture. The perception on life or on situations becomes too narrow, too myopic, too limited. And then depending on how active that Mercury is, that intellect that wants to analyze and think and analyze and think and keep on generating that process, the more this is active, the more it's like we zoomed in and then we're just digging a hole, digging a hole, digging a hole, digging a hole, digging a hole. And with each round, feeling worse and worse and worse and worse, to the extent where we lose the sight, we lose the perspective, we lose the whole picture. And then what's left is only the worries, frustration, and an intellect that just ripped everything apart and became lost in all of that process. And so this is how Mercury is preventing us from tapping into the faculty of Jupiter. We need a balance between these two. We need to apply Mercury in certain situations, like if we're doing math, we have to apply Mercury. When we need to solve something, we have to apply Mercury. But when it comes down to forming a relationship with life, that's when we need to tap into Jupiter, to zoom out, see the big picture, connect the dots, find meaning, and with that, return into peace, contentment, acceptance, and a sense of internal fulfillment. I'm full. Everything is happening and has happened in a perfect way. I'm full. My life is full. There are no mistakes. There are nothing that I need to solve or fix. I see the big picture. I realize why this and that had to happen. There's a meaning behind all of this. How do we practice tapping into Jupiter more often? Or how do we cultivate this ability to tap into it? And especially when Mercury is starving Jupiter, what can we do to soften this tendency or even transform and let go? What I have found to be most helpful and most related to healing and developing Jupiter is some sort of meditation practice. Jupiter represents spirituality, spiritual practices, spiritual ideals. Also, anything related to wisdom, inner contentment. And when Mercury is dominating Jupiter, it means that we have to practice two things through meditation. One thing is to quiet down that thinking mind, that intellect. Practice to say, that's it. You're not going to work right now because I don't need this function at this moment. And then the other thing through meditation, we are practicing to place our attention on our internal self, on the self that is spacious, very expansive, like Jupiter, and where we can feel that calmness, that trust, that presence that doesn't think, doesn't analyze, doesn't try to solve anything. None of that. It's just pure presence. And in that pure presence, we feel contentment and fulfillment. So, when Mercury starves Jupiter, it is very important to practice some form of meditation. There are lots of forms of meditations. If you haven't discovered anything that resonated with you, you can explore on the internet, maybe find a local teacher, local classes. I'm sure there is a form of meditation that will apply to your needs and will align with your structure and your nature. But I do sincerely recommend finding that form of meditation. If you have this Mercury, Jupiter, Kshudhita Avastha, if Jupiter is very active, if you find yourself thinking and overthinking and analyzing and picking things apart and then losing the bigger picture, starting to worry too much, you're not feeling well, it means that you need to tap into that Jupiter more and cultivate a relationship with it. Because when you do that, you create balance in your system. And when you need to apply Mercury, you apply it. When you don't need it, you put it aside and you tap into Jupiter. That inner peace, contentment, inner calmness, inner presence, inner wisdom, which helps you to see the bigger picture, appreciate life, feel more contentment, happiness, and fulfillment. Alrighty, that's it for this video. We will continue exploring this Kshudhita Avastha in the upcoming videos. Again, if you're not really sure if you have this, comment down below your Mercury placement, your Jupiter placement, and I will help you to figure out whether you have this or not. And if you have any questions about what I was sharing, about Jupiter, about Mercury, about Kshudhita Avastha, also feel free to comment down below, ask your questions. And if you want to learn more about the whole system of the LAJJITAADI Avasthas, I have a video made specifically on this topic where I overview this whole system, each Avastha individually. So you will find the link into that video below. All right, thank you so much. And I hope to see you in my next video.